For this video, I'm going to show you how to use the audio files and the PDF booklets to complete a practice routine that will help you develop your ear as you progress through this course. Now, if you're in the public course or taking one of the university courses, there's a slightly different schedule for each section. So let's go over each one very briefly. In the public course, if you go to the Schedule tab, you'll see that in Level 1, there's a drop-down menu. When you click on it, you'll see this right here, the practice routine. What this is telling you is that while you're completing Level 1, if you're taking the public course, you should practice daily routine number 1, mirror exercise 1 and 2, and listen to the interval training audio files number 1, 2, and 3. All of these are available in the workbook section, which I'll get to in a minute. If you're in Music 101, then your listening suggestions are daily routine number 1, and you should sing along with these as well, mirror exercise 1 and 2, and interval training 1 and 2. So it's a little different than the public section. If you're taking Music 102, it's slightly different. Daily routine number 1 for Unit 1, mirror exercise 1 and 2, and interval training 1, 2, and 3. So that's actually identical to the public section, but it changes because in the public section there's actually 10 levels. So once you've figured out what section you're in and what schedule you should be following, you can go to the workbook. And just one other point, if you're taking the public course, then your schedule is located under the Schedule tab. If you're taking the university course, since it's not actually a part of the course, usually the instructor doesn't grade you on these materials. These are just supplemental files to help you develop your ear. They're usually located under the Workbook tab. So you click Workbook, you'll see a page like this, and then it will say either Music 101 or Music 102. And then you just follow along with the suggested items for each unit. So when you get to Unit 2, move on to daily routine number 1, mirror exercise 1 and 2, and interval training 3 and 4 if you're taking 101. Okay, so essentially, once you click on the Workbook tab right here, in any section, it's going to look a little bit different, but all the sections have all 5 of these components in the PDFs by section. So you have in Section 1, daily routines, in Section 2, mirror exercises, in Section 3, rhythm training, Section 4 is sight singing, and Section 5 is staff paper. And once again, the rhythm training and the sight singing is really intended for work with an actual instructor. If you don't have an instructor for these, then you can work on these by reading the textbook and learning how to count rhythms and learning how to identify the notes on the piano keyboard and associate them with the actual notes on the staff, which this course does teach you. But right now I want to concentrate on the daily routines and the mirror exercises first, and then we'll get into the interval training and these optional components, the triads and scales. So we're going to talk about each one step by step. So first, if you click on the PDFs by section, daily routines, you'll get something like this. You'll see the first volume of daily routines. There's 7 of them. So what you have here is printed music. Now, even if you don't know how to read music, the idea at first is to listen to the accompanying audio file that goes along with this and learn these pieces by rote. Eventually what will happen is you will start to gain familiarity with the notes of the staff, and you'll be able to sing these a little bit more effectively as you progress. So the audio files are located over in the audio section of the workbook. So if you click on daily routines, what's going to happen is a compressed folder will download to your computer. If you're using a tablet, you'll need to install an app that can open up compressed files if your tablet doesn't natively do that. And you'll need to get these files into some sort of audio player. So if you use iTunes, you simply drag the uncompressed folder of daily routines into iTunes, and it will categorize them into albums like this. So you see the first one is Daily Routines Volume 1. If we click on this, you're going to see a whole bunch of audio files. You'll see there's 2 files for daily routine number 1, 2 for number 2, 2 for number 3, and it continues like that all the way up to daily routine number 7. So going back to our PDF, what's going to happen if you play audio file 1, where it says MM76, the lower the number next to the MM, the slower the piece will be. So you should always start with the slowest one. So start with the one that says MM76, and then once you gain some facility, move on to MM102. But don't try to complete the faster one until you've gotten really good at the slower one. And then eventually, you should try and sing these without the audio file. Just get your pitch from a piano. So what's going to happen when I press play on daily routine number 1 is you're going to hear 4 clicks and your first pitch. That's what this little note here is. It's called a Q note, and it's indicating that you don't sing this note, but this is the note you're going to hear in the recording. So you hear 4 clicks along with that note, and then you'll come in on the 5th click. So here's an example of how you do that. And you don't have to be a great singer. I'm not a vocalist, and I can't sing extremely well. But the point of these exercises is to force you to use your ear and your voice to match pitch and develop your ear in a more effective way. And if you complete these exercises daily, you will improve. So let's go and do the first one, just the first little bit. Okay, so we're going to do that again. Notice first you hear 4 clicks, and then you hear the first pitch, and that first pitch is held for 4 beats, and then you come in right here. So listen again. We're going to hear 4 clicks first. That gives you the tempo. 2, 3, 4. Here's your pitch. And now you sing C, D, E, D, C. And you just do that throughout the entire exercise. You'll notice inside each note name, or each note head, is a letter. Those are the letters you should sing. Those are also the note names. So this is a note C. This next measure is a note D. And then we have E, D, C. When you get into more advanced daily routines, you're not going to have note names anymore. We're going to use something called solfege. So when you get to that point, instead of singing the note names, just use solfege. And we'll be using fixed do for this course. So every time you see a C, it will be do. Every time you see a D, it will be re, and E will be mi. But you'll learn about that as you progress through the course and you read the textbook. So for now, what we're doing is we're trying to help you identify note names. So the note names are written inside each one of these whole notes, is what we call them. And each one of these whole notes we hold for 4 beats. You're going to notice as we continue, there's different note values. So here we have a perfect 5th, and these are half notes. So each one of these is worth half a whole note. So 2 beats each. Here we have quarter notes. So each one of these is going to be worth 1/4 of a whole note. So there's 4 in each measure. So I'm going to sing number 1 and the first part of number 2 with you along with the audio file so you can see how this works. Q note. Do, re, mi, re, do. This measure means you rest for 4 beats. Do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do. Rest. 2, 3, 4. Do, re, mi, fa, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Rest. 2, 3, 4. C, G, C, G, G, C, C sharp, G sharp, C sharp, G sharp, G sharp, C sharp, D, A, D, A, A, D, D flat, A flat, D flat, A flat, A flat, D flat, C. And then you continue and you try and match pitch with the audio recording. One thing you may have noticed is in the first exercise, I didn't actually sing the note names. If you're first learning, you should sing the note names. You should sing C, D, E, D, C. I use solfege. So if you're in an advanced course, your instructor might tell you to ignore the note names and sing solfege. So if you are singing solfege, I just gave you the solfege for number 1. So you kind of have a head start now. And then in number 2, I switched to note names. But again, if you're just starting out, start with the note names and then only progress to solfege when you become really comfortable with it. And ideally, you won't do that till daily routine number 4 or 5. And you'll notice when you get to 4 and 5, the letters inside the notes disappear and change to solfege, the first letter of each solfege syllable to help you out. Okay, so that is a daily routine. The other file that you can download is a mirror exercise. So here, if we open up the mirror exercises, it'll look like this. You're going to see each interval in isolation. So here, we're going to practice an interval known as a perfect fifth. So a perfect fifth, and any interval in general, an interval is the distance between two notes. So we actually have names for every interval that exists within music. So this is how we tell some intervals are bigger than others. So if I have an interval that's short in distance from each other, then it'll be a smaller interval. An interval that has a greater distance between each note will be a larger interval. So the perfect fifth is named so because it is 5 letter names apart. If you know your notes and you know that your first letter written on this score here is C, this note right here is a C, and this one's a G. So if you count up the alphabet, C, D, E, F, G, there's 5 notes. So we know it's some type of fifth. And then there's also something you'll learn about later called a half step. So if you don't know what a half step is right now, don't worry about it. You'll learn as you progress through the course. For now, just sing the lyrics. So if you go over to your mirror exercises, you'll see that you have a mirror exercise, an audio file that corresponds to each one of the intervals. So the first one, the perfect fifth, you simply sing along with the audio file. And it's the same sort of concept as a daily routine. You're going to get a click off and then you're in. So let's go ahead and do the perfect fifth mirror exercise so you can see how this works. First, just listen. Okay, so what happened there? You heard 4 clicks on a snare drum. Then you heard your starting pitch held for 4 notes so you can get your initial pitch, and then the exercise starts. So listen one more time. 4 clicks, starting pitch held for 4 beats, and then you start singing the perfect fifth exercise. Here's your cue. 7 half steps, 7 half steps, perfect fifth. 7 half steps, 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 perfect fifth. 7 half steps, 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 perfect fifth. 7 half steps, 7 half steps, perfect fifth. 7 half steps, fifth exercise. So if you're on the public course, then you go over here and you work on mirror exercise 1 and 2. So you'd start with a daily routine, sing that as your warm-up, go through the entire thing, practice it until you can sing it really well without making mistakes, and then practice mirror exercise 1 and 2 once per day. So you do mirror exercise 1 followed by number 2. And if you do that every single day and you master the daily routine and the mirror exercises, then your ear is going to be in really good shape by the time you complete this course. But there's no quick method for developing your ear. You just have to do this stuff daily. So one more thing in the workbook, we have the interval training. So here's some information that you can read once you get into the course. But essentially, click the interval training link and you'll get this. You'll get this album once you import it into your audio player. So if I click on this, we're going to see there's 17 different audio files for you to listen to. So if you look at your schedule tab again for the public course, you're supposed to listen to interval training 1, 2, and 3. So that would be the first 3, the perfect fifth, the perfect fourth, and the perfect octave. So all you do is you listen to these, and what you're going to hear is the perfect fifth played in various ways, but every interval you hear is a perfect fifth. So go ahead and listen to the first one for a few seconds. So at first you hear the perfect fifth played harmonically. That's both notes at the same time, the bottom and the top note at the same time. And then you hear the bottom and the top note start to separate, so you can actually identify each individual note in the interval. So listen again. That's a perfect fifth. Bum, bum. Bum, bum. That's a perfect fifth. Harmonic, then broken up melodically. So these are all perfect fifths, and they play for about 6 minutes. So all you have to do with these is just listen to them passively. You don't have to focus on these intervals. You don't even have to pay much attention to them. You could listen to these while falling asleep if you want. The important thing is that you listen to each one. And notice after a certain amount of time, you're going to start to notice the difference between these intervals. So listen to the perfect fifth again. It sounds very open and airy compared to the perfect fourth. It sounds open. The perfect fourth sounds a little bit more like it has a little more friction to it. Now the octave. So each one of these intervals has its own characteristic sound, and that's what you're listening for. And by listening to these audio files daily, you will improve your ability to hear these. Part of the issue with ear training is that you just need to become familiar with the way these intervals sound. Once you develop familiarity, then you can start to identify them more easily. So that's the goal of this course, is to help you develop a very basic understanding of the basic intervals, triads, and scales. So one other thing, if you go to your workbook section, you'll see there's triads and scales, and you can download major, minor, augmented, and diminished triads, and major, natural minor, harmonic minor, and melodic minor scales. So I already downloaded all 4 of these packages, and when you import them, they're going to get imported into a single album. And you're going to see a whole bunch of files here. So disc 2 is minor triads, disc 3 is augmented, disc 4 is diminished. So this requires a little bit of assembly if you want to use this, but what I would do is I would select all the major triads, and I would just create a new playlist called Major Triads. Now that I have this, I can put them on shuffle and I can listen to each major triad. So what that does is it helps you develop the ability to recognize major triads, because you know in the back of your mind that you're listening to only major triads. So what I would suggest is start with the major and the minor triads and work on the triads that are being tested in each assignment. So whatever assignment you're working on for whatever unit, in the first unit for the public course, you'll be working on major and minor triads. So just listen to the major and minor playlist separately. So you'll have to create a playlist. So if we go back to the albums, let's just go ahead and select a minor triad album. And then once you get really good at recognizing the different sounds of triads, you can start to combine these. So you notice how the minor triads just sound a little bit more, I guess, sad is how you might describe them. The major triads sound happier and brighter. So once you learn what they sound like, you can create a new combined playlist with both of these. So you'd select all the major and all the minor triads, and maybe you just create a new playlist that says combined major and minor. And now you can put this on shuffle and listen to all the major and minor triads. And quickly, you only have about 2 seconds, but you should try and identify whether you're hearing major or minor triads. And you can do the same thing with the scales. So that's everything that you need to know to complete your basic practice routine every day. If you want to add the rhythm training or the sight singing, that's more advanced. I'm leaving these options available in the public course, even though there's no instruction for them, in case you complete the course and then you want to start working on more advanced sight singing type skills. So essentially with the sight singing, you'll have a melody and you should use fixed do solfege to sing these. But you can, once you develop the ability to identify intervals, you can sound out each interval. Right now you may not know how to do this, but here we have a C to an F. By the end of this course, you should know that's a perfect fourth. And if you can sing a perfect fourth, bum bum, then you just sang the first 2 notes of this melody. And then you know that from F to G is a major second. So then you can sing the first 3 notes if you know how to sing a major second. Bum, 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 and then another major second. Bum, bum, bum. So you can sound out these notes once you develop this basic ability to identify intervals. And that's why there are no audio files with this, because the point is for you to go through and not use a piano, except maybe to get your first pitch, and sound out each note until you can hear what the melody sounds like, much in the same way that when you're a child you learn to read by sounding out words and then putting them together with your basic understanding of what words sound like. And then you can check yourself on the piano because you've also learned how to identify notes on the piano in the first unit. So all this stuff starts to come together at the end, and if you make it all the way through this entire course, you should be able to work on all the sight singing and all the rhythm training exercises on your own without the aid of an instructor. But if you still need a little bit of help, you can always find a local instructor to help you learn the rhythm training and sight singing. And just explain to them that you're trying to develop your ear, you completed a course, and now you want more advanced instruction. So that's everything. Feel free to contact me by email if you have any questions, and good luck.